pops up on there, let me know, because I can't see it there. So call the meeting to order, and we have a couple of additions under 8. So 8.1 would be supplemental tax deferral. And 8.2 would be cancellation of December 27th meeting. Any other changes needed?
I have an item I'd like to bring up in comparing this contract.
Okay. We have the closed session already, so
Yep.
we can have that in there. Okay, nothing else? Can I get a motion to adopt it with those 2 changes? Oh, Councilor Yushin? All right, all in favor? Carried. No scheduled or public delegations, so we'll move on to the fire chief's report.
Your worship.
Yep.
Those are the rules.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, yep. All right, I want to move and acknowledge that we are on the homeland of the many diverse First Nations and Métis people whose ancestors have walked this land since time immemorial. We are grateful to work, live, and learn on the treaty territory, traditional territory of Treaty Gate. All right, thanks for the reminder. And so we'll move on to our fire chief's report. Can we get a motion on this one? Go ahead. Councilor Waitel.
I will move the council receive the fire chief's November 2022 report for information. Who said all apologies?
All right. Okay, so with that, I guess we'll open it up if there was any questions or comments on the report. Maybe our CEO can answer. Councilor Martin.
Not really a question on this report, but are either fire chiefs or public works superintendent going to be, going to be here today, things meeting? Because it says on the agenda, it's why I didn't say anything, but they're not here.
I wasn't aware that they weren't going to be attending.
Okay. Now we can see it on there. Change that around. Okay, anything else on the report?
Sorry, I was going to ask 2 questions to our fire chief. Do you want me to ask them or?
Yeah,
do you want me to?
let's see if we can answer.
Well, I was going to congratulate him with his team on the event that they had, finally there in December, correct, it was December 2nd or 3rd. And my question was, do you know approximately the funds raised?
They're still in the process. I talked to the chief yesterday and asked him the same question. They're still in the process of doing the tallies, but I think it was a positive in the red, in the black for sure.
Oh, it would have to be, there's no raffles, and I would estimate like 25% rough math, like to get purpose and, they were coming out there, because everything was volunteer and, so, 20, that's what I was curious about.
They've been very successful, and that may explain his absence tonight.
Okay, very good. The second thing I was going to ask the question is if you've read the mayor was concerned with firefighters and first responders, and if he was just aware that if that in fact, if we have stats that are similar here with them in first responders as opposed to EMS. Those are my questions.
Yep, and he's well aware of it, and I believe that item is on the correspondence.
Yeah, I know I had the same question, was to get his feel on how they're feeling about that issue. Okay. Councilor Yushin.
Is it clear? No, I was just wondering, and I think I know already, but I'm just curious, when they organized interagency meeting for
major utilities would be involved, gas utilities, local utilities, county, all the members of the emergency management committee through the county. So it is a fairly extensive group. Usually, even agencies such as like CN and the like, will dial in to keep everyone abreast of the activity. So it is fairly broad, well versed and pretty wide network of participants.
And it would include the local army firefighters.
There's always a connection with any emergency responders per se.
Thank you.
And generally, if I could, it would also include participants from the major industries that have safety officers, particularly those in the oil and gas that have already registered their emergency management plans with the area municipalities that could potentially be impacted.
All right, good questions, anything else? No. Seeing none, we had the motion to receive the report for information, all in favor? Carried. And we'll move down to our minutes from November 17th, special budget meeting. Councilor Dunn.
The council approved the minutes from the November 17th, 2022 special meeting of council budget as presented.
All right. Any changes needed to those minutes? All right, all in favor? Carried. And our other budget meeting on the 21st, any motion on this one? Go ahead.
Move the council approve minutes from the November 21st, 2022 special meeting of the council budget as presented. As an aside, can we accept all of these at the same time? Like instead of going through each one, I think we could probably just accept them all in one go.
Well, the way they're listed, one at a time.
Okay.
Yeah, this one, I don't see any, no issues on this one. Seeing none, all in favor? And the one that we may get some changes on is, our regular meeting of council, motion on this. Go ahead.
The council approved the minutes from the November 22nd, 2022 regular meeting of council as presented.
All right. A little bit more to these minutes, so there might be changes. Anybody see anything? Everything looks good, all in favor? Carried. Is there any business arising from those minutes? Oh, Councilor Martins?
Sorry, Mr. Bill, Bill, on the November 22nd, regular meeting of council, one of the things you mentioned, when asked by another councilor, about our earlier tomorrow was that, we said staff had updated council previously. I went back to November 8th meeting, because I was not at that meeting, and watched the video, looked at the agenda. I didn't see an update from staff, so did I miss what we were referring to, what update did staff provide to council?
The superintendent of public works did provide an update on the level in the water reservoir and the like, so, can't recall exactly, but I know, that update was provided, at that meeting.
Was it November 8th? Because that was the right meeting before November 22nd, and I looked at the video, I looked at the agenda, it wasn't, there was no report in public works.
I remember being in the chair, telling us, I can't
It's tough
remember.
because that video doesn't show, but, I saw the fire chief.
I can't tell you.
It was right at the beginning.
Yeah. But I can't remember.
Perfect, then that's well.
Yeah.
Because of all of the media for the updating.
Okay, anything else on the business arising? Seeing none, I'll move on then to, what's that?
We didn't vote on that.
Well, it was just a question if there was anything arising from it. There's no
Okay, yep.
new business, 8.1, the supplemental tax deferral. I'll make a motion that council give administration the authority to enter into tax deferral agreements for the 2022 supplemental tax bill. And I can give a little bit of background on this one because I know this is last minute and I wanted it on this one just because of, it's a bit of an emergency issue. It can't really wait till next year. Is, you can see the email that received, I don't know if everybody had a chance to read it or not, but a resident received a supplemental tax invoice for $1,500. Was concerned that it came so late in the year that he'd have to pay it in December with all of his other expenses. And I kind of agree, that's a big hit right at this time of year. So I would like to make a motion that we defer that or give them tax deferral arrangement of 3 or 4 months to make that payment. Okay.
I think that's a good idea, but I don't think it needs to be just for that one resident. Can we say that it's for all residents who want to, work with administration to, what's the word I'm looking for, to.
That is in the motion.
Oh, that is, okay.
That's for the supplemental tax
Okay, so
billing
it's not
for
specific.
all bills.
Okay.
There was, I was chatting and maybe I can let you explain how many and how much and that kind of stuff.
Overall, again, this was a new process that council passed a bylaw in February 2021 to allow for supplementary billings. Once that bylaw is in place, administration has to follow the bylaw. We really didn't have a good administrative process, so we relied on the assessor to provide us information. It was provided very late in the year. If council was to maintain this bylaw on a go-forward basis, we put in more rigidity to say all supplementary billings have to be out by September, for instance, so there'd be adequate time and notice given. That didn't happen this year. So there were 6 billings that went out in total. Total billings and supplementary, just under $3,000. Again, one individual, one property was 50% of the total supplementary billings. And the president has a point that it's very short notice. Traditionally, in terms of the normal tax billing cycle, it's, the mailing period happens. And, a typical year, there can be more advance notice of the billings going out in the actual due date. We're sort of stuck with a more tighter framework and the timing of the year is optimal.
Yeah, and we can, bring up a point of the supplemental tax bylaw. We may want to revisit it. I'm not sure if it, but we'd want to revise it, I think, to add something of that December time frame.
Regardless of administrative, putting in administrative protocols and it's dealt with in a more optimal fashion, provide equity, not only to the town, but to the ratepayers to be receiving a supplementary bill.
Yeah.
And this late in the year, we're getting return control in another 2 months, so from my perspective, it's, if we're gonna do it, we should do it on a timely basis.
Right. Yes, I would agree with that too. And then we probably, like you say, an administrative procedure or at least an amendment to the bylaw so that it's in there, that this would be clear. And whether or not for 3,000 we need the supplementary doesn't hurt. Okay, anything more on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor? It's carried. We have our fire chief is in now.
told, the food banks arrived this Sunday, and I don't know if you've seen in the Facebook page, but we basically got 1,300 pounds of food collected and $700. So we actually beat last year's goal. 1,100 pounds was last year, so this year we got 1,300. So I was really happy with that. It was a cold day, so the kids were kind of shaking a little bit, but we toughed it out and we were successful in our different endeavors. I just also want to bring one thing to your view, and that is we have, or I have totaled up the points to pay for the firefighters. And as you see in there, the total for my volunteer firefighters is 51,012. It is over budget, but the overall budget should, I don't see any issues why it will be able to maintain everything under the overall budget. Reason why that is over budget is that's a variable thing. It is call dependent and it is also attendance dependent. If I have more firefighters showing up to practice, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. You get more people, you get more participation, but it also costs more. So it's kind of, like I said, a double-edged sword. I will be going to a meeting tomorrow to discuss regional training in Slave Lake with Slave Lake Fire and also Convict Lakes Fire. So we're trying to capitalize on that training grant that was brought out, and our approach is if we can do it more as a regional group collaborative effort, we will possibly have a better success of attaining dollars from that grant. And then we'll be able to apply that for training for the 2023 year. Those are the highlights. I know you guys have a long meeting tonight, so I submit my report to the council. I'm open for questions.
Great, I know Councilor Martin's had a couple, so others start off.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, first, just congratulations on the youth well-done event. The food is fantastic, and, you know, I don't understand the other volunteers to
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's not a paid event.
It was fantastic. My question there was, what would be, do you have an idea of how much funds were raised?
For the food bank?
No, for that. Oh, is that?
Oh, sorry, for our Christmas event. Oh, our Christmas event. No, we don't have anything tallied up yet. I'm going to just take a guess and say $5,000. I'm not positive. Yeah, I couldn't say for sure.
In my head, I thought a lot more, but we thought in fact we escaped to Mexico.
From what my recollection and what I've heard from community comments, it has been positive. It's been positively talked about and received. We're already kind of got plans for next year. Getting some feedback. We've also sent, I've got president of our society drafting up a letter, and we're going to send a letter out to the businesses thanking them for their participation. And we had people asking. We were sold out, so we had people asking to try and get tickets in. So I think it's a good thing. We've tried to coordinate the parties so that we aren't getting hit with, requests for designated drivers continually through the whole Christmas season. It was a lot of work, and I was totally impressed with my members, the way that they worked that evening. It was like nobody had to tell anybody what had to get done. They just saw the need, and it happened, and it was awesome. So it's a good thing to see.
Very smooth operation. Secondly, we have a letter here that's in our package from the mayor of Yoka to the minister Copping, based on the first responders and usually the firefighters. So I was going to ask, one, have you seen that letter?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, basically, the concern from this mayor, and should be for all of us really, is that our firefighters who are essentially volunteer force are first responders versus the ambulatory services. So it's really, the reason it's gone to Minister Coffey, Minister Health, is
program, you can set up the protocols of how you are guided for response. Right now, in my discussion, when it was originally established about 2 years ago, we made it quite clear that our protocols are for lift assist, and basically, that's about it. We will go there to help aid for, let's say, codes and stuff like that. But as far as us being first response being sent out, is a hard no on that. Our members are not expected to have to train not only for fire and the whole gamut of what fire requires, and now throwing medical aid onto them. I don't see that ever coming around in my lifetime as fire chief, and I've had a number of my members indicate that they're not interested in doing that. That being said, we have had one call this year where we did need to have immediate medical assistance, and we ended up transporting a patient to the hospital. Our notification was the ambulance was 27 minutes, so basically half hour time, and it was a person that was involved in a fire and needed immediate assistance. So we ended up transporting, not something that I want to do often, but we were essentially forced into that. So outside of that, so far, good. That we haven't had more calls than that, but the likelihood is there. I have had a conversation with one of the EMS people, and they are short-staffed big time in our area. And instead of having, I'm going to take a guess, I think it's like 7 or 8 paramedics, they've got 3. And it's a huge deficiency. We haven't realized it yet, but we're probably going to be seeing more. Yes. That's kind of a snapshot of what we're kind of seeing and what happens.
Yeah, in that Anoka letter, they were indicating that they don't have an ambulance there. Ambulances were coming from Red Deer, which was a half hour away at the best of times. So they were getting a lot more of those dealing with, first aid and stuff on it, that was wearing on their members, where we have an ambulance right here, in theory, it should be right here.
In theory.
So hopefully we don't get to that.
So, for example, today we actually did a lift assist for an elderly couple, and the ambulance was actually from Slate Lake. At the lag time, they were there before us, so there wasn't a lag time, but that's actually where they're coming from.
Okay. Those were the 2 questions, I think. Chief? Yeah. Congratulations on Joe, well done with the Christmas party and the food, helping with the food bank.
Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed doing the food bank. That's generally a fun time. And the event, well, that goes without saying.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for coming in then. So, oh yeah, there was, but that was, yeah, sorry.
No, that's great. Senior Western, or for the question there, my question was, who was the one that's doing interagency meeting for the emergency resources?
So the interagency meeting, that meeting, there was a few that were not in attendance, but we had legislative police, we had obviously Alan and myself, Big County Big Lakes. There was also sheriff and Fish and Wildlife. So the RCMP were not able to, Carswell or Designate was not able to make it there that day. But the intention is to try and reestablish that. And the purpose of that is just so that we can all sit down when we do arrive onto some kind of a call, that we know who's who and who's doing what, and we can all kind of work together. So it's kind of a collaboration thing.
I know her question earlier was, is forestry and all that firefighting usually involved in those meetings?
Yes, I believe sometimes they come to me. It's been over 2 years since we, so my memory is failing me.
Independent,
Yeah.
All right, there was nothing else? We've already had the motion and voted on.
Sorry again for that. I will read the agenda a little bit better for the topic. My apologies.
No problem, thanks for coming in.
You said you could go on vacation.
Well, actually, I'm not going anywhere.
All right, we're moving on to, 8.2, the cancellation of our December 27th meeting. Councilor Wakefield?
I'll move to cancel the December 27th meeting.
It goes without much explanation. Is there any questions on it? All in favor? Carried. And we'll move on to, the interim budget, page 16. Can I get a motion on this one? Councilor Dunn?
The council approved the interim 2023 operating budget as detailed in appendix 1.
Okay, thank you for that. And with that, I'll maybe turn it over to administration to lead us through appendix 1. And what you're looking at here.
Thank you, Council. So this is a different approach than what you've seen in the past. It's just in order to get you through the first few months of the year, get you some kind of budget so that administration can roll out and continue and meet the MGA requirements. So the revenue is just basically, the majority is 50%, but if there's no taxation, it's just not there. The first line is taxes. You see that there's not, there's only 29,000 because we'll possibly get just the MSI operating funds. That kind of idea. The expenditures are again the same kind of an idea where we're only spending a portion of the year's expenditures. It's based on 2022 budget numbers, not the 2023 stuff. And the only ones that are adjusted are the ones that we know will need to be paid in the first couple of months.
Okay. Everybody understands? Yeah, any questions on that? The budget is there just, because we haven't finalized our budget and we won't be finalizing it until sometime in May. This will, when we have all of the numbers in, this will get us through until then. And basically, that's all it's saying at this point. And, we have to have a budget going into, starting in January. We don't have a budget formalized approved, so we are approving this to meet our requirements to, keep paying the bills, keep the services running. Councilor Martin?
Okay, so I know that we're at deficit, but this is being interim, you just said based on the adjustments that we know the deficit will not be there once we do final budget in May, correct? And then I did understand the revenues from administration you have, is it because what was in the short timeline is prorated, and what kind of revenue comes from that 400 some odd thousand versus the 200,000? It's the second page and the revenue by department. What is that roughly? What is that line like last year and this year it's half to 200?
under administration. So under administration, you've got things like your franchise agreement, your, interest on, interest on earnings, that kind of stuff. So that's what's gonna be halved, off the top of my head, that's the bigger ones. So you're not gonna, in the first period, or the first 4 or 5 months before you pass the actual budget, you won't see the majority of that coming. That's why we're only projecting percentage of 50%.
Very good. So it is timeline, it's just timeline. Okay, very good. Thank you.
Counselor Daneka? You didn't have, oh, okay. All right, any other questions on this? All right. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to 9.2, short-term borrowing bylaw. Motion on this one. Councilor Rico.
Move the council to first reading of short-term borrowing bylaw 12/2022.
Okay. I'll turn it over to administration, maybe to explain the need for this. I don't know what's in there, but I guess my question is, why are we doing this when we've never had it before?
Because we always do it. Every year. Sorry.
So I'll just start this in the treasurer, and I think, it's customary that most municipalities do adopt an interim borrowing bylaw. That is not to say that we will actually use it. Councilor Wakefield is somewhat correct, that the town did in prior years pass an interim borrowing bylaw. For the last 4 years, there has been no interim borrowing bylaw put in place. So, it's hit and miss, but it's again, it's a precautionary thing. We will not likely and are not anticipating to actually utilize this interim borrowing bylaw. We have significant monies in reserves. Hypothetically, we could run into a situation where we could have a dollar investment in a 30-day GIC, and rather than cashing the GIC and losing the interest for that month, we would tap into our temporary borrowing bylaw that provide maximum benefit for the ratepayers. And it's just a precautionary measure. We would be reporting out during the monthly updates on the financial situation of the town if we were to utilize the temporary borrowing bylaw. Again, staff have particularly in the report, it's not necessarily predicated that we anticipate to utilize it. However, most banks and financial institutions, as part of your banking agreement, ask the council to put in a temporary borrowing bylaw to meet the contract we have with our financial institution, because that's in the contract. So they like the motion from council and a bylaw to be put in place regardless if the municipality is going to use it or not.
Okay, Councilor Winkle.
Just, yeah, I guess the way it was explained to me before in the olden days, we always pass this just in case, and never once did we use it. It's just a CYA thing.
Okay, no, and I guess, I know we have lots in the reserves, and I was wondering why we would need that. I understand that, it's good to have that just in case, but, we've got more than that in our reserves if something came up too, and we could use that. But I also understand that if it's in reserves, if it's locked into an account, we may not want to pull it out. And I can do that. Councilor Martins.
So when I first saw this, I thought it had to do with the debenture that we talked about at some point for our internet. Now, I don't know what that is, if we are to borrow or if that's what you want to reserve. And I know we don't have the funds yet, we don't know what that amount is, so it's a question for me because I don't know.
So if I could, through the chair, staff would be reporting back on that issue, but those financial details
on this? We have the motion to receive it for first reading, all in favor? Carried. Anybody want to make the motion to go to second reading on this? Councilor Danaka,
I make a motion that council gives second reading to bylaw number 12-2022.
right? All in favor? Carried. And, I guess the big one is, we need a motion to go to third reading.
Your motion, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll make the motion, for consent to go to third and final reading. All in favor?
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. It's unanimous. Anybody puts up their hand, we're good. If somebody objects, we can't go ahead. Everybody's hand is up, so who would like to bring this one up? Counselor.
Make a motion, third reading of bylaw number 2022, to be accepted.
Okay. All in favor? Carried. And moving on to our CAO's reports and action list. Given an action on this one. Councilor Martins, we missed you last meeting. Just a little slow.
Well, then all the motions to receive, CAO Bill Mechanic report, for information.
All right. With that, turn it over to our CAO.
Through the chair, there's, like most weeks, numerous meetings, attendance, Gun Recreation Committee, Police Management Committee, those statutory meetings, it's a great opportunity for me to get up to speed on some of the issues being dealt with, just for council's information. We are having weekly leadership meetings, as I get more familiar with the operations and the like, we won't be having necessarily weekly meetings, and it's a more in-person schedule. But it's a good opportunity for staff to, be aware of what's happening. We generally have them right after the council meeting, so there's a debriefing, with staff and information sharing broadly for staff, things like that. Again, numerous meetings to meet some of the administrators of other services provided in the area. That's with the administrator, Hard River Housing, Medicare, some of the facilities. They will be attending the January council meeting to give an update on, the requisition requirements, for 2023 and beyond. So that will be, happening in January. That's, in a nutshell, the highlight of of my report this month is, the various ministers will be doing tours of the region early in the new year. Those dates are still, not determined, but we've had some very positive feedback from provincial staff and the proposal that the town's made. They would be very interested in pursuing that. I've had 2 follow-up discussions. There's further discussions scheduled for the new year. So hopefully we will have, beyond the specific tour line, for the Minister of Northern Economic Development jobs, to visit specifically the town of Pine Prairie, and there will be an opportunity to advocate for some of the issues that council and the broader community has been looking from that particular ministry. So that's a positive news story there for sure. And as mayors are well aware, but I'll be out of the office over the Christmas, and the public works superintendent will be the acting CEO during that time period. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you. So we'll open it up for any questions, comments. Nothing? Can't believe that.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, well, I've got a couple. Just one of them, I'm wondering about is any update on the hospital land? I know that it's it's been sold on the government website. Any more information on that?
Good chair, I'm still pursuing that, but, there is an issue of, seems to be an issue of, releasing the proponent that, is the new owner of the site. Again, I'm still trying to deal with it from an administrative perspective. If not, we'll make it pretty an information request to get the required, eventually get the required, ownership change. In the interim, if it comes through the tax file in terms of an ownership change, well, we'll know then. But, no, the ministry hasn't been, for a lot of maybe legal reasons, able to release the new ownership.
All right, my other question is around Canadian fiber optics. I know they were planning on starting construction this week. Did they get started? Have
Yes.
they been in and around?
I can, sorry to jump in there and step on it, but, my wife called me from work today all excited because they're working right outside their door at IB and Cap, so. Yeah,
Okay, starting there.
but unfortunately, they're going your way and not my way first, so. Very sad.
Okay. I also just wanted to, I see the action list had a couple of questions, one question, couple of comments. And on the very first one there, they talked about working on a telecoms policy with MRSA. Any idea where that's at and when it would be coming to fruition? Yeah, this one here. I know it's just been on there for a long time. I'm wondering when we're gonna have a policy on.
And, this is one of the items that I need to update myself on because I don't have the background, on some of these items, so I apologize for that. But, in the new year, well, the plan of attack will be for all these items. Some of them have been completed, but, I didn't have an opportunity on Friday because I was ill to update the list, so there are a couple items that have been completed, but, they'll be falling off the list, in January.
Oh, okay. Well, and that goes to my question was there was someone here that I think could be removed and so like the next two after that, I think could be removed because they've been dealt with and stuff. So that was my other comment.
A couple of those have been completed, and will be removed, right now.
All right, that was my questions. And I know we'll, we're gonna have this one now.
Can you update on your ICF meeting from November 24th? Do you have anything to update on this there?
Yes, yeah, that was part of my report, but we did have the intermunicipal meeting, a meeting focused on the ICF agreement. And basically just that we started at, number one agreement and worked through all of them. And we didn't get through all of the 23 agreements, but we did make it through some, lots of these little tweaks. And we did get to the municipal grant funding or the capital funding one. And we'll have more to discuss in closed session later on tonight.
No, okay.
And I could just add, there is a meeting scheduled, the date escapes me, but I believe it's January 24th. A follow-up meeting has been, 26th. Follow-up meeting has been scheduled, to continue those discussions.
Thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions, we have motion to receive information, all in favor? Carried. And we have the 14-1, the letter from Panoka. A motion on this? Councilor Shishin?
The council received the letter from the mayor.
Right. Any discussion on that? Councilor Wakefield?
Is there a way that we can send a note to Anoka and also everybody that has been CC'd on this, that we share these concerns, that this is the right way this has been implemented? I mean, we're fortunate to a degree that we have an ambulance bay right here, but as Fire Chief told us, we're short on people. And, you know, we all know that the provincial government would never download services onto a municipality. That would be unheard of. I would just like to see, something letting, letting the premier and the opposition, the very, consent to our MLA, as far as that goes now, people, like I said, CC, that, we share Pinoca's concern.
Other thoughts on? One for information, one suggesting the, writing a letter. What are people thinking?
Perhaps I can offer a suggestion. The letter is not asking, this is not a resolution from the council, okay, to seek support for a resolution. So that, that's something council may want to consider. Again, as the fire chief alluded to, there's a couple issues within the letter. One is the service standards in an individual fire department or council may want to set for the municipality, which is a different issue than the lack of provincial resources in ambulance services versus, so there's a bunch of issues that are intertwined in their letter. So it's not clear, what they're asking other councils to do, but on the face value, they're not asking for other councils to do anything at this point. It's more for information. So it's a more complex issue than just ambulance service, as the chief alluded to. It involves, council having independence to set its service standards relating to medical calls, period. The chief's making his position on that. But, so it's more complex, that's what I'm saying. So we need specific direction on what aspects of this would be supported by this council or not. And we could prepare correspondence that was the direction of council.
Councilor Martins?
So you're absolutely right, Bill. In fact, when I first looked at this, I said, well, what's the ask? What's one? And you're right, it's two different things. It's really tackles, it starts off with fire, but our chief has said, what we only do resources, you can advise dispatch only calling for this, which is what you've done rightfully. So it started off that way, but really that letter is more about tackling ambulatory services, honestly, from Slave Lake. So reasons though we have them here, or, that one is probably used somehow. I'll echo what Councilor Wakefield said. A simple acknowledgement, just to let Pinoca know, we heard you, we're with you on ambulatory services, and send it to Pinoca and all CC. Very simple, just we acknowledge it, we share how to change it, we share your concerns with, we find ourselves in a similar state of shortage when it comes to ambulance service in our area. Period. And not the lengthy thing. We're not putting this to resolution, just that we're here, we heard you, we acknowledged it, and all the parties get the same. That way there's more weight. There's Pinoca is asking, there's a third and fourth municipality. Just wait, not that we're doing anything, simple letter.
It may come down, this is the first step, it'll probably come up as a resolution in the fall at our municipalities convention. But I think letting them know early that we support them and we hear them is good, because when you have a resolution that comes from multiple communities, it carries a little bit more weight.
Yeah, my question is, and I don't know if we have issues with ambulatory response times. I honestly don't know that. always hear some stories that they weren't, yeah, they're fast enough. I think when you have an emergency, they're never there fast enough. And 1 minute can seem like an hour. But do we have an issue in our community? I know for sure when you go, further out and you're a half hour away from Highbury, you definitely have an issue. I have heard that there's issues where they medical transport and then they're gone for a while. But do we have lots of cases where there's a problem in our community? I don't know the answer to that. That would be my question. I mean, just generally, you hear a few complaints, but I haven't heard lots, so that's what I'm asking.
It's a very good point. How do you find out those stats? If they've made 18 calls and they actually have that, who are aggregates? Who do you keep those? Is it our EMS? Is it the hospital? Who know that?
Yeah. Well, it says our volunteer fire department was the first to arrive on the scene of a medical event 18 times for theirs. And it doesn't sound like in our case, that we are the first to arrive at a medical event that time, right? The one time and had to transport them. But yeah, I mean, we're not getting that information. I don't know, you would think we should be getting that through those committees that we sit on, with the, health committees, but again, I don't know that. Yeah, and I don't want to say I don't support Panoka, because I'm not saying, I just wonder, I just don't have the data to say we have a problem in our community. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but I just don't want to say, yes, I can say we support them, but I wouldn't want to say we have the same issues unless we had something.
That information, we probably have to get from NHS, whether or not they want to give it up would be question. But it might take a little digging to get it.
What's the average response time for people in our town when they call an ambulance? I have no idea.
Maybe we don't have enough interested in because they're responding.
Yeah. Well, and I have heard that it ties up both police officers, or an ambulance driver, if they're doing a medical transport, they have to sit at the other hospital until they're received and passed on. And sometimes if they're backed up at the other hospital, it can be a long time. So they're tying up an ambulance during that time because they sit with, much like with a police officer takes them there. So you hear about that on both sides, but is it a big problem? Are we missing, people aren't getting, ambulances have to come from Slave Lake or Peace River because our ambulances are gone. I'm hearing that we're short on personnel. Have we been missing calls? I don't know. That's my only question on it. I just haven't heard lots, that's why. Usually when there's an issue, you hear about it, right? But this one I haven't heard. All right, so we've got a motion to receive for information. We had a suggestion to put, send a letter of, we heard you. Other thoughts on this?
We can receive it for information and, first meeting back in January, hopefully by then we can, gather some information and craft a proper response at that point. I'd be okay with that.
So we would, what you're getting at is maybe asking administration to ask if there, what the response time is. Right?
See if they'll get that, and, if they won't, then just see if we can get it another way. Oh, it's out there, and
friendly amendment to your motion to receive for information and ask administration to get ambulance response times for the town. I think everybody would agree with that, yeah. Do you agree? No, if you agree with that amendment,
Yes.
and Kelly's busy typing, so she's got to. All in, all in favor? Carried. Well, I think the county, because it's so big, it would be, yeah, so much different than the town, right? And I mean, the response times, just outside of town are gonna be much different than if you live in Salt Prairie. And much different than, you know, if you're in Swan Hill. Okay, next is our verbal reports. And we'll start in the middle this time.
That's you.
I was gonna go with Counselor Martins, but okay, I'll start this time. Yeah, because I am straight in the middle. Okay, just since our last meeting, which, we had we had a couple of our, meetings in between, but I did do the presentation to the check for the food bank for $3,700. We had a joint recreation committee member, our committee meeting, and we had in that, we had a new member of the committee from Big Lakes. Jim Zablotnik, Councillor Zablotnik is in, Councillor Shalafu is not on the committee. They made a change at the organizational meeting. At that meeting, we had a report on the usage at the pool in the arenas. Now, at the pool for October, they were averaging 47 people per day when they were open. In October and September, that number was 54. The pool had to shut down October 24th to November 13th. During that shutdown, the new filter was installed, the women's shower was fixed. They identified some issues with the HVAC system that they needed to work on. And then when they are working on it, there was going to be probably a shutdown for another day when they worked on that. At the arena, the roof repairs were done at the Gordon Buchanan Center, so touching wood, hopefully we don't have any leaks in the roof this year. And we don't have our guys up shoveling snow. They're still having issues with the cooling tower. Hopefully it'll make it through the season. They're fixing them as they go. When we talked about the usage, they gave stats on the prime time usage at the Gordon Buchanan Center is around 82%, and at the Gordon Buchanan Center is around 64%. Prime time hours, meaning Monday to Friday, 5 to 10. That's what they consider prime time. What else can I tell you about that? The curling rink has started up. JC Park removed the toilets because they were getting vandalized a whole bunch. They gave some data on wages compared to revenues, how High Prairie compared to other communities. And just really quickly, in 2021, at the High Prairie Arena, the wages were 87% of the revenues. At the pool, wages were 162%, and for parks, it was 410%. In Slave Lake, it was 96 at the arena, 55 at the pool, and the parks were contracted out. So there's just, they were given some data, and part of that, all of that information and the request at that meeting, I think is the Joint Recreation Committee is looking for ways to increase usage, increase revenues, and decrease expenses where we can. So those are the, what the Joint had, the intermunicipal meeting, the same day. And, we just gave a little bit of an update on that one. And, they went through things like administration services, FCSS, peaks officer, waste, health. And that was one where we were both contributing $10,000 and working. So we changed that, and now we've got to change the agreement in the ICF. So we're trying to get through all of them and work those out. We got through some of them need to be tweaked and adjusted for what we're doing now versus what was happening then. Another one that didn't fit for what we were doing was broadband. Oh, and, yeah, a little note is a good reminder. One thing I missed on the recreation is, we've got the survey on the dog park and the splash pad. As part of the recreation master plan, we were looking at getting feedback from the public on what were their priorities and would they pay more for some of these additional recreation services. And, so the administration was going to put, that out. Did not want to put out a survey on the multiplex at this time because the multiplex was too nebulous. We didn't have a firm price. We didn't know exactly what was going to go into it. And the numbers were astronomical. We knew it was not going to pass anyway. So it was like, okay, we'll leave that one off for now, but we do want to get a survey out there on both the dog park and the splash park, because those were items, part of the top three. So they are going to put those out also. Just one other meeting. I mean, everything else, everybody else was at, except I had a sort of an impromptu meeting with, three minor hockey reps, Bill and, Ramona. And basically their asks were for lower rates, more ice, and or more ice time for the dollar. They wanted, cleaner arenas. They were looking at, the space between the two arenas being used, that upstairs space. They wanted to see that being used and maybe rent it out. But there's issues with that, and they wanted staff to be more acceptable, or accessible, not acceptable. So they were just saying that lots of times they can't find them when they need them. That was their asks, and I know it's, being looked at. And, some of the rate issues, we'll go and see what the joint rec committee wants to do. We'll bring those things up there, and, from there we'll go from there. Heart River Housing meeting, we had, at that meeting, there was, first of all, we know that the, High Prairie addition is going fairly well. People moved in. They're still finalizing the, covered car park portion of it. They are working, they're still doing a lot of little touch-ups and cleanups even on the inside. They've had a few little issues where, startup issues where air was caught in the lines, so all of a sudden the units were not warm anymore, the temperatures dropped, they had to bleed the lines to get the water circulating better. Just little things like that have been, popping up, but that's coming along. The Fox Creek, build is coming along very well too. That's, should be, that's coming along fairly good. The board decided we wanted to move ahead with the Alair project. And they're starting to move ahead and getting everything ready for, same kind of thing that we have here to be built in Alair. And that's the gist of that. And, just had another impromptu meeting with the Valley View Mayor and their CAO and Deanna Bizarre to talk about that rural renewal stream. They came up just to talk about that, and wanted to have his truck service, so we had breakfast, talked about that rural renewal stream and the entrepreneurial stream, and, went from there, so, yeah. Those were my meetings. So I'll move my report for information unless there's any questions. Big report. Okay, all in favor? Carried. Counselor Stenhouse. Oh, geez, Counselor Stenhouse is not online, so move to Counselor Waco.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A whole bunch, I did talk to, again, sorry, yesterday about the rural renewal stream there. We've been approved. Looks like we need to put that all committee together. So we were brainstorming some things to go on to that. She was kind of contact some of those people and get that going. The library has got shelves, so shelves that were old when you moved to town, Brian, or have moved out. And new shelves, those shelves that are in they were in the old library back in the day. So they served their purpose. Went to a Peace Library meeting in Grand Prairie. It was fairly well attended. Some great ideas for the library, different brainstorming things. And Arlene Dempster, her last meeting there, she informed everybody she was going to go home to the man that she loves, the cat that she loves, the dog that she loves, the horses that she loves, and the cows that she hates. Which was good for a joke there. And then you covered everything that we did on the report. And so that's my report. That's my information.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Councilor Waco, did you, library, were you make any tweaks to the fact that their parking lot is something you voted on?
I did let because the last library board meeting was actually during a budget meeting. So I did let the library and Tracy know that we had approved the library parking lot, the whole Twin Cities building parking lot to be redone, and she was quite happy about that.
Okay, we have motion to receive for information, all in favor? Carried. Counselor Shishu.
Kind of different on my person. Thank you. Since our last council meeting, 2 or 3 meetings, was at the FCSS meeting that we had on October 17th. There was a little bit of update information. Some of that was let's go back here. Yeah, there was, so the manager's report had some update information that there was 291 clients over the past period of time. And so that's an increase than they've had before. One of the main things they're looking for is they're looking for someone for the position of home support. So that's where they have somebody go when people need a hand in their homes, and they'll go and they'll do like light housekeeping for them and that. And they're missing that person right now. So, and they're really missing it. So they're in the kind of looking for somebody to do that. And it's not only to go give them a hand with some of your daily household needs like that, but it also serves a double purpose, and it's probably one of the most important too, is the fact that it's a visiting time for somebody that's living alone or at home. So while they're cleaning, while they're doing that, they really provide that support as well, which is really good. There was some little bit of discussion on the bus. The bus is being used a lot. They gave some numbers: 119 in the county, 268 within town. High grade is still there, was 179, and ever since the last report, I need this support, I need the bank support, and that's how it works. Oh, okay, so we'll set this up for you right away and this is up. It doesn't really work that way. It's more on the intake system. They do a lot over the phone, so you can take that over, or they can do pretty much everything on the phone. Then what they'll do is they'll take the information, the application, and then of course any other supporting documentation they need. And they do send that out to be reviewed. They don't do it themselves. And that's I think it's kind of a little bit of repeat when Tim came in here to tell us about it. But she emphasized the fact that the doors are open. They are open for business, but not necessarily open for somebody to walk in. What else did I want to say about that? And she was just emphasizing that they're really here for emergencies. And they have had a number of people, and they expect that level to be about the same, or maybe go up a little bit as things fluctuate with the job market. But a good part of the meeting was talking with Kim, which went probably well. And she answered a lot of questions there. Second meeting, that was which was last night actually, was the Big Lakes and Town High Prairie Health Professionals Attraction and Retention Committee. And Councilor Martins, I'm sure will fill in because she's got a lot of information there as well. So, but whatever, I'll go through some of the things that I have here. So ARPA, we had Holly give us a verbal update. She joined the meeting by Skype, I guess, there, or Teams there. She indicated, I'll just really briefly go through it as Councilor Martins has something more there. She indicated some of the sessions that are coming up, the RPAC sessions that are coming up. The next one is the nurse practitioners. So what she wanted to make sure is those are open to everybody. So if some of us, if you see it, it's not just meant for certain people, it's open for everybody. So she said to make sure to just kind of re-emphasize that and definitely try to attend those sessions. I think that's probably all. She was talking a little bit about nursing positions. She said 42, there was a decline, 42% decline in applicants in the nursing position. So not something that we have heard before. I mean, that's what we've been hearing, and I think that's one of probably the most important things that that hopefully will change. We went back to our projects, and so the survey that went out, we decided that it should be put out again. It seemed like there wasn't a lot of respondents, so it was decided to put it out a second time to grab a little bit more input for that. So that was discussed. So there was the responses was 150 then with the survey results, which was good, which was better than the first one round there. So there was sorry, I'll just maybe, I don't want to take up too much time here. I'll just go into there was 3 questions. So I'll go into the first question. So the first question was, what services do you look at for when moving to a community? And it had a number of options. It had a lot of replies to that. Actually, there was 19 listed here. It's one of the top ones was food, grocery options. Second was doctor. Food, restaurants was 73%, which is third. Went on to recreation services, dog park. Again, came up. Housing, real estate, schools, local internet, daycare, social events, and it kind of goes on. It has even like nightlife and vehicle dealerships and stuff. But so because the group looked at everything can't be tackled. So we looked at what's really important, what's the first 3 things that are important, and then the rest one of the third question that was asked was, what services attractions do you believe brings people to our community? Some of the things that were listed was lake, rec facilities, outdoors, small town atmosphere, sporting events, trade jobs, shorter commute to work, and lower cost of real estate. They're the largest sectors. So the group discussed the ones that the priorities that came up. One of the big things that came up was daycare and daycare facilities, and that and or maybe the laptop, I guess I should say. So that was a fairly good discussion that we had on that. That ended up being number one, as the number one. Affordable housing we looked at as well, and there was some discussion on where is that information at, like where is it available? The real estate, of course, real estates came up with it, but it really came up that there really isn't enough, and you either have to really the slum landlord kind of came up with whatever, but the lower rental units, or there's the higher, and there's not a lot of the higher. So it's kind of missing that in between. So if people are moving up there trying to find housing and accommodation, and that's been a factor or a little bit more of a difficulty. And I'll let Councilor Martins talk a little bit more on that because I know she has more information. So what was decided was for the next meeting. So we're working. There will be some work done on those projects there, around 3 priority projects there. Also for the next meeting, which will be in February, I believe, it was decided to send a letter to ask the CRC to come to the next meeting, and also for the chamber to come to the next meeting. And I'll let Councilor Martins talk about that one as well, because there's letters involved with that one there. We talked a little bit about High Prairie recreation. We talked about the agriplex, big facilities of that kind, and it came up some communities have that, but then it also came up that how some communities did get them, which is feasible in some areas, but not in others. So that was a little bit more there. One of the other things that was discussed was, and it came up in discussion actually with other things, is the fact that there's a lot of talk about doctors being supported. It's, we take them around and, we show them what the community is all about, and then they decide if this is the place that they want to move or live in or work in. But what came up in the conversation was it's very much all healthcare workers. It's allied health. It's all encompassing. That really, some of the people around the room felt that the doctors were being well welcomed and looked after in that regard, but some of the others weren't, and so a lot the conversation was revolving around families and children in daycare, but then it was brought up, it's just as hard for the single people as well, because they are by themselves. They're coming into a community that they don't know, and they appreciate that welcoming as well, and that came from one of the committee members. So that was actually that was really a focus there for the part of the last meeting there. And the other thing that I had noted here was just that the MD member at large, they're still looking for that. So they were going to put that, but the county was going to put that out again because they're still missing that position for the group there. I'll go on to my next meeting there, and that was today, actually this afternoon. It was the broadband committee meeting. It was with our same folks there with Yoga and his bunch, and they gave well, actually there was two main things. So they were quite an excited group. I'll tell you, because what was commented earlier was the fact that they started construction. They've launched. They're starting. You see them out there. They said, get ready. If there's questions and stuff, there probably will be, because people people be wondering if they haven't heard, who they are or what they're doing, then there might be questions there. They've got that well in control because they talked about, that they had launched, social media already, they launched the website. They gave the location, which we know there is by Fire. They said, where they were, what direction they were moving, and, it's gonna be on the east side. It's available from there and up to 43rd, what does it make sense, 43rd or 53rd Street. So anyways, we're starting on that, east side there. In January, they'll really be, gearing up, their construction will be in full steam ahead at that point in time. They brought up, Yona brought up, signage, we were talking about signage at our last meeting. We kind of looked a little bit on the east side and the west side, we're gonna pursue those, locations for sure. I guarantee they're going to get a hold of, I think, I believe on the west side, it was the land, well, it's on both sides. I guess it'd be the landowners, so they were gonna look at that. And then also the Essence site. So you kind of have the one end of town coming in and going out on both ends of town. And then if it's sitting at the Essence site, then you have one right in the middle of town. So they thought, they were happy with that, and I think it'll be good visibility there on that, our main, highway corridor. They talked about, initiating, onto the radio, some of the other media, like the radio, Southeast News, digital Facebook, but I think they're probably, pretty much on there with their website there. They're, one of the, gentlemen there, they, also said that, indicated that, it was, really looking really good because their engagement was very high. They were getting, a lot of people calling, the sales. They were happy with the sales so far. Actually, people are contacting them, and the open house, they said, was, worked out really well for them as well. What they're going to be starting to do, and I don't know, I think they're running out of time before Christmas, the Christmas period, and kind of everybody's kind of busy on that time. But they're gonna really ramp up in January. They'll try and start now, but they'll ramp up in January. They're door to door with their door knockers, and so they'll be going around with that. They indicated that they'll give them not only a chance to put the door knockers in and visit the residences, but also have a conversation with them as well. So they were really looking forward to that one-on-one conversations that they can have that way too, and then any questions can be answered. They just said the business sales are super strong right now, and that comes with probably a little bit of that construction, but they really launched everything right now. They were looking at, they commented about doing another open house in the new year, and they were kind of thinking of venues or places that they could do that. The local hotels were brought up, not all of them have it, but, as maybe some of the options there. I don't know if there's somebody in the Elks downtown right now or not, but they were gonna look into, they weren't doing anything with that right now, but they'll be looking at doing a second one. But the two takeaways basically is that construction has started, and number two, the sales are going great. So they were quite excited and, very positive, and they're moving ahead. And that's all I have, so I move my report for information.
Okay, any questions, comments?
I have a question around, when you said they were talking about spots for daycare. Who all have they talked to, and where did they get their information that indicated that there was a need?
Yeah, and I wouldn't say spots. It was, the discussion came around, or was brought up around, I would say the lack of. It was compared to daycare that's in Slave Lake, and the opportunities that are there. They talked about the not unlicensed daycares here, and the conversation surrounded around that there wasn't enough. And so, and it's a little bit on the cost came up. yeah, it's not so much where, but why isn't there that facility? And then it came up around the fact that a lot of the healthcare workers, like they almost need that 24-hour because they're 12-hour shifts, so it kind of got into that little more of a conversation there. But yeah, not so much where, but a lot more than that. And I guess that's part of why I think the importance of the fact that to ask the CRC to come in and really to get more information on that, and that was really the key, because that's something that we really wanted to know, and that was the most important thing of why to have somebody, basically to ask somebody to come in, sit down with the committee and explain that to, exactly explain that to them.
You might want to also, because I know that certain people will see, maybe they want options or maybe they want, but you may want to talk to the actual daycare operator to get her input. So I wouldn't just say CRC, I would say you talk to Lorraine Rose and get her input. Because one of the things I would hate for somebody to open up or come in thinking, we don't have enough spaces, so I'm gonna pile in. That's not gonna happen. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That's all I'm gonna say. The research is there to, but I would talk to the daycare operator and just get her input on that.
Okay, anything else? Seeing none, we have the motion to receive for information, all in favor? Carried. Councillor Janaka.
Recently, I attended the same meetings everybody else did, the open house, the light up. So basically, I have no report.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dunn?
Aside from the open house, I have attended this CRC meeting. I conflicted with issue with work. However, I have attended the continuing education council. It was basically a review of the year and some successes, personal programs as well. And then we had Tuesday, I believe it was the waste management meeting, and Dennis gave us an overview of some of the things that have been happening in terms with sites being vandalized and garbage being stolen. Information, people going in and trying to find information on the sites that they can sell and use or whatever reasons. We also did have he gave us a presentation because the gentleman that was supposed to be there to present on our collaboration with other regional with the municipality and with our with Big Lakes and with some other communities that were part of. We gave a presentation on that and talked about the business and of it and what it was working on.
Okay. And when you're, I just have a question, we're talking, that's about, like a new one looking at the,
Dealing with
hazardous waste. That's, it was, okay, gotcha. Okay, any other questions? Oh, you didn't move your report, I'm sorry.
I move that my verbal report be accepted for information.
You're not off that easy, because Councilor Murphy says.
I just was curious what the continuing education council is. Maybe it's just the first time I'm hearing about it, but what is it?
It is through Northern College, and it's more your adult education also deals with the, it's all the different programs that operate through North College.
What's the town representative, what is it that you contribute, or what are we looking to do, or?
We sit on the committee and take information, provide feedback, insight into programming, talk about, ear to the ground stuff, and what possibly they can look at bringing in.
That we had a good year in 2022 for uptake on, I didn't know I had about 450, so what's been the best thing this year?
I would say that some of the stuff that has come out of it, I talked about previously, was the chef program, for camps and stuff like that. That she talked about some of the successes that came out of that program. We heard that the nurses program is not running as, like it once was, but there's still a lot of people coming at, a lot of upgrading and stuff like that as well.
I can add that, right for a campus, the numbers are really quite good right now. 127 students, and so that's fairly good for our size community. Not that they all show up because we do so much by distance, but lots of programming going on. Okay, anything else? Councilor Dunn? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. And Councilor Robbins?
All right, so I'll try to sum up very quickly, yesterday's meeting of the joint committee. To John, to your point, really good feedback on the daycare. We're at the stage where in the information gathering stage, right? It's too early. We really did two things last night. We sat back to understand our mandate and what this global allocation is, because we can't establish or run a daycare. That's not, so we really want to collaborate with all parties involved, and not just CRC or chamber, but we listen to entrepreneurial opportunities. So it's really good to go check in with the existing facility. The feedback that we received yesterday was that they're at capacity, that there's no space, that there's a waiting list. There are 2 months of toddlers in our community, so, it's like, well, where do I take my kids, right? That may or may not be true, but that's what we were told yesterday. The rest are day homes without proper accreditation, so, that's where that was. One of the asks, so there will be a couple of asks coming to the town through the recreation board, and one, really the question was asked of 152 responders that responded back to the survey, what's going to keep you here, right? We are not only an attraction committee, but also a retention committee, and as Councilor Schuster said, it's not just physicians, nurses, and allied health, which I guess I feel forgotten. There's a whole, what allied health is, I didn't know. It's all the pharmacists and the speech pathologists and the radiologists, the non-nurses and doctors, right? Dietitians, yeah, sure. So how are we warmly welcoming them? So that was this discussion, and so the ask of the town is, one of the things was recreation. What do we do in winter cold months? So we asked from the town, because we sort of run the parks and all of the rec stuff, and are the recreational hub here, is can the town maintain an aggregating events and recreation calendar, and then maybe that link can be posted on social networks like Facebook and so forth, and it will come to the rec committee, the joint rec committee. So I guess maybe Ramona's area of expertise, but that's an ask. Because people see the aquatic center, but how do I find out about hockey? There's apparently badminton and something else someone mentioned. How do we get all that stuff in one location? What were the other things mentioned in terms of rec? Whatever there is. And even events like the library, like, so a calendar on this day, there's 5 different things. Bingo, I'm just making this up. But, so when we come to the rec committee, Ramona can maybe take that on and see if it's something that she and her team can manage and support and coordinate. The second was a support letter to AHS. And again, so come through formally from the administrative staff. So at that time, the town, we as council can talk about it. It wasn't, it's a supply issue with the kind of housing. So for example, contract nurses get paid housing, whereas for the other, is it fair to, some of the stuff isn't us, it's AHS, which is why the town and the county, both councils can maybe write a letter of support to say to AHS, hey, can you fix this problem? One of the suggestions was in that old lot, build a condo complex or something, some residential complex, and, that not only, accommodating single individuals, but maybe multiple or 3-bedroom condos and so forth. But those just ideas floated around. Things, and and again, because I said this was information gathering, we are going out to other committees, like there's a health advisory committee, there's a health foundation. Each of us took a separate thing to go research for our next meeting in February to say what is their mandate and how can we aggregate and collaborate efforts so we're not duplicating, we're not being redundant. And that's specifically with regards to this welcome experience package that we want to put together. Somebody talked about a tour here for something else. What was it? What else were we talking about? What other
Doctors,
not doctors, what other committees? Was it you?
Yeah, grow for you a little better.
Yes, that's it, and that's, yes, exactly, so, who else, like, thank God you mentioned it, because I wouldn't have thought that immediately, right, so how do we all combine, because a welcome experience package for High Prairie area is applicable to those newcomers, new business entrepreneurs, as well as everyone else, so, I think that I'll add that to the list, and then you can, we can figure it out. Town aesthetics was brought up because that's part of the, the first impression, to all, so that was that, and, we're moving forward, yeah, we're moving forward, I think it's exciting, we haven't heard back from that grant that we applied for last, month, so we're still waiting on that, moving on to other things, this is just a reminder that this is the last call for nominations. If you or anyone listening, our residents, are interested in joining the board of directors for the High Prairie Native Friendship Center, the deadline is December 19th. So please see anyone at the center, Bev or Carol, the executive director for the nomination form. So one will discuss at a closed session. The other thing was the November 24th public meeting that we all attended. So kudos to the staff. They put a lot of time, work, and investment of just being there. And it was really cool to see all of the different craft projects with graphs and so forth. I mean, it was like a science fair project. And we were all there, so it was really nice investment of time and being there. The one thing I wanted to bring up is, what have we learned? What can we do differently? We have 2,000 plus members in our community, maybe a handful showed up. And I know that they mentioned that we put it in a bunch of places, so maybe we need to revisit what is working with the Colorado and what how our audience receives information. Maybe Facebook isn't it, because Facebook has a feed and it's algorithmically based, and I would not see that. If I didn't go click in that moment, I would have to actually actively go to the site or the Facebook site, and I may not do that. So just food for thought. I think that it was such a good effort and so much great information, and we could have maybe had a better turnout. I mean, to me, that wasn't a success. Like, I would love a postmortem and to see what staff administration would recommend for future success of events such as that, because we put in a lot of time, resources, energy into being there. Okay, so finally, I think I forwarded it to council. The last event was on My Connect Care, and I had Holly send it out, and I know our George Fashion and Retention Committee sent out the webinar. Really Connect Care still High Prairie is a user. The doctors have it. We can sign up to My Connect Care, which is an app. They have different phase rollouts. There's 9, we're about 5 in Alberta. There were some questions from the audience that attended, on the presentation and how we can better our presentation to be some suggestions from the audience on that. The event wasn't recorded. I asked that question, so we can't for Connect Cares. They did some real life stories of how Connect Cares really helps some patients and doctors. So there was some stories peppered in there. It was a good event. That is it. So with that, I will move my report for the
All right, any questions? Yep.
Not a question, just a comment. The next time we have the town hall, we definitely need to make sure it's not on the same night as our Ukrainian.
yes,
supper.
yes, totally, yeah, exactly. Good point, John.
But that again goes back to the community calendar thing, where the events, that only works if everybody buys in. So if we get everybody to buy in, have one central location where, this is the weekend that the rodeo is, this is the gun show, this is Ukrainian supper, this is, the fireman's ball, this is, and then organizations can look at that. Because I know we had, about 15 years ago or so, there was 3 big events in the same weekend, which they all suffered, right? So then, it was the gun show, the fireman's ball, and something else, all in the same weekend. It's like, well, crap. But now, they split that up, but if we could just have something where people can kind of book their time and then say, well, we want to do something, we want to have a tournament. There's this, that weekend, let's go for the next weekend. And then that way we will constantly have people in town filling our hotels and eating at our restaurants, which is what we want.
Okay, seeing no other comments, you want to report for information, all in favor?